You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, are considering getting on the mats, or maybe taking yourself to train. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to continue recovering from addiction, start training jiu-jitsu. I'd like to welcome Liam Wilson to my podcast. Hi Liam, how are you?
Evening, Lou. Yeah, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I am in my happy place. I love hosting podcasts and chatting with people I meet randomly on Instagram. So I'm really pleased you're here and we've connected.
Yeah.
I know you are a fan of the show, so I'm even more pleased to have you here. And I mentioned at the beginning the journey of recovering from addiction. And that's going to be primarily the topic of the show. We're going to be talking about mental health and your journey to your current rank, which is a blue belt. Tell me how you started training jiu-jitsu and where it came about.
So I'd had a passing interest in jiu-jitsu for like several years, and never really followed it through. And I went away for the week to Tenerife with my now wife, and it was just a week of indulgence, Lou, to be honest. You know, too much beer, too much sun, and I came back and I felt terrible. You know, physically, I was aching all over, and I just really had this sense of like lacking purpose.
Yeah.
You know, doing all right in my career generally, and other aspects of life, but there was this unfulfilled space within me that was quite palpable. So I said to my wife, and I was just like, I'm gonna give jiu-jitsu a go, and Googled jiu-jitsu in Sheffield, and Gracie Barha-Nietsen came up, and checked out the website and stuff, and I thought, yeah, I'll have a go at that, and here we are 18 months later. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Fantastic. I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing honestly how you were feeling. But being away in Tenerife, surely there can never be too much sun when we're based here in the UK and it's still a bit chilly, although we're now getting a few more sunnier days. But, you know, I know how indulgent, you know, maybe an all-inclusive holiday, all of the alcohol, all of the food can be. What was it about that holiday that made you feel the way you did when you got back?
I think it was really just that defining moment that for many years I've kind of let the pursuit of pleasure control my like direction in life in many respects, and that holiday, and to be fair, Lou, it wasn't a bad holiday. You know, we had a great time, we had a good laugh and stuff, but it was really that defining moment that I felt, not through like a lens of shame either, but I just thought, right, there's definitely time for a change now. And something that I need to kind of infuse into my lifestyle. And that was really the catalyst for starting to train, I would say.
Do you think that was, without putting words into your mouth, do you think you'd kind of had so much of a good thing and kind of then reflecting and going, is this everything in life?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the pursuit of pleasure can only get us so far, really, and it'll never give us an indication of what our potential is. For me, personally, it's always been more of a mechanism of soothing rather than anything else. So yeah, and for me, I want to explore the depths of my who and what I am, and I want to see my potential, and that usually is cast through some form of voluntary suffering, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. We'll delve into that voluntary suffering in a minute, because that immediately, takes me to being armbarred or choked, Liam, on the mats.
Yeah,
But
me too.
let's get to that bit.
Yeah.
So I know you're a practicing Buddhist, and part of that is about the journey, kind of the process and the journey, rather than the kind of the end goal, as it were. How has that impacted your attitude to now training jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic question. I think in the early days, there were a lot of blind spots in terms of how my ego was working. When I first started, I played rugby for 16 years. I will say not at a particularly high standard, but used to contact and used to getting stuck in.
Yeah.
And I suppose like the egos affronted were like proven wrong in some way. So the early days, and and that kind of comparing mind was
Yeah.
quite present, at first. But I think over time, those kind of discriminating and self like flagellating voices start to dim after a while, and then you
Yeah.
realize that this is it's much more deeper than the it's deeper than the mind, it's deeper than the ego. It's a long-term journey into the depths, I would say.
Yeah.
If that
Okay.
makes sense.
It kind of does, but I'm slightly clueless, comparing that with ego and training a sport. Maybe unpick some of the things that you've just said for those of us that might not have quite grasped the kind of the idealistic, ethereal concepts. Give me some real examples about being on the rugby pitch or being on the training mats that some of us can relate to.
Yeah. Thanks for pulling me back there. I tend to go off into the esoteric quite quickly. So if you train in jiu-jitsu and like perhaps you get to a couple of stripes in, and then some ex new training partner comes in, then you get submitted by them, or they are more proficient at a particular technique or things like this.
Yeah.
Then that is, I think a lot of us have that experience. You think, oh, I've been training longer than that person. I should
Yeah.
be more proficient. I should be better than what I am,
Yeah.
or what have you. But and I think really that's quite a humbling experience. But I think what I'm trying to get at is that jiu-jitsu very much grounds us in reality.
Yeah.
It is I think is really the core of what I'm trying to say. So not
Yeah.
what we construct about ourselves and what we think we should be. It gives us that very direct feedback as to where we are on that path, if that makes sense.
It does. But how do you deal with those days where you might be with a training partner that is more experienced than you, and then you're caught for the armbar for the third kind of session in a row, and you're kind of giving yourself such a hard time? Like, I should be better at this. I should have learned to defend this by now. In actual fact, it might take double the amount of time for you to, deal with that particular situation. But how would your kind of new mindset help you deal with those, I want to say tough days, but actually in the scheme of life, it's not tough at all. Dealing with that, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I feel really grumpy and quite downhearted, and you walk away with not a smile on your face walking out the gym doors.
So I think cultivating a state, a mindset of acceptance is quite a powerful technique. If you learn meditation, and if I can just if you indulge me for a second, I'll go into a bit of an acronym. So it's R.A.I.N. So this applies to the mat, I believe, and meditative practice, or any context really. So R.A.I.N. So recognize. So recognize what you are feeling in the moment and the thoughts and things like this. Accept,
Yeah.
investigate, and non-identification. So what really just hitting them in terms of acceptance, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't need a value judgment or anything like that. It is what it is, and I think that's, for me, that's really really the power. What part of the power of jiu-jitsu. It allows you to accept things as they are, and learn and cultivate a mindset of learning. So why did that happen? It's not because I'm a deficient person or I'm less than in some way. It's just it happened because I'd probably put my arm there too quickly, or I didn't move into this position, and it happened. It just happened, and that's fine.
So
Such
remind
is
me,
life.
Recognize,
So that's investigate.
Yep. And
non-identification. So that's the acronym.
Non-identification. So expand the non-identification bit, because I get the recognize and I'm literally going, my eyes roll in my head. I then smile when I'm kind of recognizing that I've done something that is going to make me more vulnerable for a submission, for example. I go, okay, I accept that. And now I'm kind of going into a defense mode. Okay, so recognize, identify, no, recognize, accept,
investigation,
investigate. So, okay, let's do the investigation bit. And is this practice kind of quite speedy? Are you able to kind of put this into practice quite quickly in your jiu-jitsu game now?
Yeah, I think 10 20 seconds.
Okay.
Just you have like the lulls within roles, or what have you when you're training, and just sit there for 10 seconds and see what's going on there. I find that really quite helpful.
Okay, so just cover off the last two in kind of a swift summary, if you would.
Yeah, sure. So investigate.
Yep.
So whatever comes up in the mind, let's just see what's going on there.
Yep.
Give us in 10, 20 seconds, we might not but we might have a bit of an indication. And non-identification. So we just touched on that a couple of minutes ago. So it's it doesn't have to form part of our identity that we got tapped.
Okay. So is that externalizing the thing that's happened a bit more rather than putting it in?
Yeah, absolutely. We can just look at it for what it is.
Yeah.
And we don't have to identify with it. Like just building on what I was saying earlier, it doesn't have to form like a negative part of our identity. We just accept it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do love that element of jiu-jitsu. One roll, it's done. You're not taking anything away from it, especially if you're literally going into another sparring session with somebody else. But it would be really nice if I could remember some of those bits, and if the next opponent has those tactics, for me to bring some of that into the next sparring session.
Absolutely.
We need to continue. We need an umbrella in between, Liam. We need
absolutely. Bit of a debrief.
I love that. Okay. That sounds really helpful.
Yeah.
Why martial arts and why jiu-jitsu in the first place? Because there are many different activities that you could have picked, but why exactly jiu-jitsu? Are you of the UFC Jackie Chan era, or was there something else for you?
Yeah, so I played rugby for quite a while, and I took too many knocks to the head. So any striking sports were kind of out of the question, really. Yeah. And I looked at judo, and I'd already got a dodgy knee and a hip, and I didn't fancy getting slammed to the floor continuously.
Yeah.
So I just kind of just landed on jiu-jitsu, and it's been popularized over recent years, hasn't it, through Joe Rogan and what have you. Really talk about the benefits, and it just seemed to make sense, Lou, to be honest.
Good. I know one of my previous guests, when she was doing her research, it was like all the successful people train jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, we're on that path to success, our own personal success, as it were.
Absolutely.
So we're all on that journey.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well said.
This is a Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Go and check out the latest video clips over on Instagram at jiu.jitsu.lu. And as you're listening or watching on your favourite podcast platform, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Today, I'm having a conversation with Liam Wilson. So, Liam, you are now a blue belt. Tell me about the kind of back end of your white belt journey to your blue belt. How was that for you?
It tough going. I think it's like we're on the cusp of getting your blue belt, and you want to step up your game a bit, don't you? And what have you? And yeah, it was great.
Did you feel the pressure, and was it a surprise to be promoted?
Yeah, it did come as a surprise. Actually, it was a really beautiful moment. Actually, it really was. And then it was like got the blue belt, and then it was straight into rolling. I was like, I've not developed superpowers, unfortunately.
I thought that's exactly what was supposed to happen when you were promoted to your blue belts.
No, it's fake news. That, I'm afraid, Liv. They lied.
That's all right. I've not seen anything. I'm in denial, Liam. I'm quite comfortable where I am right now.
Well, it's funny. Sorry to cut you off there, but it's funny you should say that, because I wouldn't mind my white belt back, to be honest.
You can't have it.
I've looked at Gracie Barra's policies, and they don't allow it, I'm afraid. So I'm stuck with the weight of responsibility.
I love that. Okay, yeah. I just want to kind of go back to the ego piece, because we come to the mats, and as a fresh white belt coming in to start training, we don't necessarily think we know it all, but we're using external forces. It might be strength, or some previous knowledge of MMA or something else. But how do you think white belts, or have you got any advice for white belts starting training, and what would be really helpful for them to accept kind of or learn prior to stepping on the mats as a white belt?
Yeah, so I think what I would say is drop expectations of yourself, approach training with a beginner's mind, and relax. I think the key for me would be just relax.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult at first, especially if you've not done it before. Yeah. You've not moved your body in that way before. It's going to be difficult, and relax. I think relax is definitely up there, indeed.
Yeah, I remember feeling quite a lot of tension, and I experience rolling with or sparring with relatively new white belts, and I'm very fortunate enough to be able to spar with blue belts and brown belts, and not too many black belts yet, because I'm only a white belt. But the game does become very much slower, more considered, just more of a mindset thing than a physical. I'm Masters 4 now, and in the super heavy, so over 79 kilos for a woman, at kind of competition level. Not that I've competed yet, but using my weight and my pressure ability, or my strength, used to do quite a lot of weights, and you think that that's going to carry you through, and of course it doesn't. Anyone, any size, anybody can step onto the mats and do as well as they wish to do, or even better.
Absolutely. I think I like your point about as time develops, you're more considered, you're more inclined to work the technique. And for any new starters, and my professor says this, it's not the world championship. Yeah. It's treat it like a game, because if you treat it like a game, you'll learn quicker. Yeah. And I think if I could just touch on a point there, I think modern society puts so much pressure on us to like hustle and win and take everything so seriously. Yeah. And adults don't play games, but just relaxing and treating it like that, you will learn quicker. You really will, I
I
think.
love that. I love that. I'm feeling very relaxed right now. I'm considering my next kind of thing, my next sparring
Yeah,
session. But I will be on the mats tomorrow lunchtime. Looking forward to that.
good on you.
One of the things that strikes me every now and again as a white belt, we learn so many different techniques, so many different sequences and moves. And then when I'm reflecting, when I'm not on the mats, I go, well, there's mount, there's guard, there's side control. That's about it, and all the bits in between. But actually, primarily, I don't know whether I've missed any, but that's the core of it. And then it's almost like re kind of skinning an onion and layering back up those layers rather than peeling them away. The core is still the core, but just as a concept, I think many of us think about jiu-jitsu when we're not on the mats, and it probably takes up quite a lot of our mind space, which can be quite a healthy thing, especially if we're not always watching techniques and reels, which some of us do indulge hours and hours in watching, but equally having video footage of our own performance if we so have any. Give me your thoughts on your journey now as a blue belt and where you're heading towards.
Yeah, so I really liked what you said there, because it's our professor Gareth Neal. He was talking about as he's developed to black belt, and like you said about going through the different moves and then coming back round to a particular area, so say mount, for example, and then looking at it with completely new eyes as the years progress. So I suppose in a sense it's that continuous process of refinement, really refining and refining, and that acceptance that you'll probably never be the finished article. Some black belts say they get to black belt, and then that's when it really starts, in a sense. So, which is crazy to think.
That's a heck of a long journey. I hope you're in it for the longevity and the you're in it for life
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel. I mean, the test that I have is that I just go to myself, can I train today? That is the only barometer I use to whether I train. And all that kind of like self-imposed pressure since I've got my blue belt has actually just faded away. And it's really going more into the depths of jiu-jitsu and like developing a strategy and a game plan, because I'm like I'm a short stocky guy. I'm not going to be playing any of these fancy open guards with any level of proficiency anytime soon. So
I love that. I love that. We're always working on guard. Always. I was like, my current thing is just to try and. I did see some moves the other day, and I felt like if I kept doing the stretches, that my body would actually get longer and my legs might. But guard, spider guard, close guard. We'll just keep working on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Keep building the castle. Yeah. So yeah, that pressure's gone, and it's just turning up and being an ambassador for the academy as well, I feel.
Yeah, nice. I love that. So if you're asking yourself, can I train jiu-jitsu today? What happens when you go, no, I can't? What does that really look like for you?
What if I actually can't? Like,
well, if you're asking yourself that kind of metaphorical question, and your answer is no, what sort of place are you in, and how can you turn yourself around for that to be a yes more often, if you happen to have no's?
Yeah, so I mean, there are times when I really don't fancy it, and I commute over from Doncaster from work and what have you, and I'm driving down the M18, and I can turn off before I get to the academy to my house, and there's that inner dialogue all the time. It's like, you could just go back and watch Netflix, mate. It's fine. But we had a seminar with Legato about a year ago, and he was saying, just get in and do the warm up. It doesn't matter how you feel and what have you, because and using that test as just rock up,
Yeah.
bring it all in there.
Yeah.
You know, bring it all out, it's served me well so far.
That's good. I do love the Gracie Barra 7 minutes warm up. I used to do when we used to have DVDs. I used to do can't remember what the guy's name was, Tybo, and the kickboxing warm up, and all of the workouts were like 7 minutes. And I used to get up every morning. Believe it or not, I'm so not a morning person now. Even though I've got 2 young kids, you kind of it's the late nights. So we're recording. It's a Sunday night, and we're recording this podcast to be out on some early Saturday morning, which I will schedule. But it's that intense 7 minutes that you go, in the big scheme of life, in the big scheme of a day, 7 minutes, getting that warm up done is, whilst it's intense, it's achieving all of those kind of warm up moves if you're at a Gracie Barra site, and going, yeah, I'm warmed up, I'm ready, I've practiced all the techniques, ready to be in a sparring session. Everything I need, I've done, and I'm ready. But I'm intrigued with the, how many times you've actually driven home rather than go to training, Liam.
I think in the early days, when you're doing something new, it's like you have to get up for it every time. In a sense, it's alien, really. So some days, some week, I didn't train for 2 weeks at one bit or a month, because it was just that gremlin, shall we call it, won out. But I think as that journey's developed, that's kind of diminished, and I really just look forward to going now, because I know I really value the therapeutic qualities of training, and I know that I'll, no matter what kind of day I've had at work or whatever's going on, washing machine breaks, something, dog needs to take good at vets, I know that if I just have a couple of hours training, that it'll change the trajectory of the day. Consistently as well.
That's so good. I know you. You mentioned about being an ambassador for your school, and just kind of being there. And I know many of us return to the mats day in, day out, because we built ourselves, or kind of we're part of a community, and actually it's that joy of seeing other human beings that love the art as much as we do.
Oh, absolutely. And just for the benefit of your listeners, it's important to make a distinction that I'm not a Gracie Barra ambassador, which is a program in itself. It's just a more general. Yeah.
I know. I chatted with Barbara Pellegrino the other day, and she was saying, it's about competition and points and lots of other factors. And I think, but any jiu-jitsu school needs people like, you and me and our listeners to just show up and be there. It's our presence that make the difference for a community, and new people that are coming in, and others that have been training year in, year out for maybe 20 years. It's kind of a nice concept to have, build a friend network and a community around us.
Absolutely, well said. I think so I suppose, like, getting my blue belt, it was that it's really a sense of, like, I see it as like a sense of responsibility. So when, I can empathize with new people when they're coming into the gym, and they might be nervous. There's a lot of unfamiliar faces doing an unfamiliar thing. So it takes a lot of guts to just get through the door. But having someone to come and say hello, put you at ease, give you an insight into the format of the class and the curriculum, that doesn't necessarily just have to be the school owner. It can be everyone that represents the club. And on that point of community that you make, Lou, it's quite a few years ago, I used to be a Samaritans volunteer, and there's quite a lot of loneliness in our modern world. And we're social beings. We thrive off connection, and that you'll find that in a gym. Made mates for life. Really have.
Yeah, absolutely. I've changed gyms. I'm still connecting and, very good friends with people I used to train with, to the point where, we'll rent somewhere and we'll rock up and, just have an afternoon training together. And it feels like we've only seen each other the day before. And of course, it may well be, a couple of months or a couple of weeks. But I think you're right in saying that this is, it's not school friends, but it's a way of adults making lifelong friends that, we become so isolated in our kind of where we may live. Work may be miles and miles from home, and, ships in the night, as it were, with neighbors. But, it's having those neighbors next to you in the metaphorical neighbors in the gym and sparring with them.
Yeah, absolutely. In the academies, you find people from all walks of life,
Yeah.
but there's something about being connected under a common purpose
Yeah.
is really powerful,
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel very grateful to have connected with you, Liam. I feel like there's more to discover, but how can people follow your journey and find out when you might be competing in your blue belt career?
Oh yeah.
I'm putting you on the
TBC.
spot.
Yeah, it will happen at some point. Yeah, so I'm on Instagram predominantly. My Instagram handle is Redemption Scripts, and I post my musings on there, and there's a lot of jiu-jitsu content as well. So if anyone wants to follow me, then yeah,
Fabulous.
please do.
So good. Um, One tip for a new blue belt, please, Liam.
Coming from a new blue belt to a new blue belt, I would say drop all your expectations
Yeah.
and just buckle in for the long haul.
Yeah.
I would say that's what comes to mind.
Nice. Thank you for that. I think, once we've started this game, then it is a long game and we are in it for life. And, I think all of us kind of desire to have a community and, a focus to keep us going. And, seeing the likes of some of the kind of more experienced jiu-jitsu professionals or amateurs throughout life, they're still smiling and still showing up on the mats regularly. So, what could be better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Liam, we will talk again. Take care of yourself and your well-being and your mental health. I know we didn't continue talking much about kind of recovery from addiction, but we will be following your journey and supporting you from afar. And I do believe that, we'll have a trip up north very soon. I'm accumulating a lot of show guests from, Yorkshire, further north and even the US. So Havgi will travel.
Yeah, you'd be more than welcome. That'd be great. Great to have you along. Yeah.
Fantastic.
We're all right, us Northerners.
Okay. All right. I'll make it past Watford. Anyway, thanks very much, Liam.
Lovely. Thank you, Lou.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show. And as soon as this episode ends, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast.